This is the MFS Wellness Podcast. I am Mike Sinopoli, and on today's episode, we're discussing a simple but loaded phrase, one I've struggled with, as many do, and that's action over intention. A lot of times, our brains, they can make us feel like we've done something based on having a good intention, but in reality, we've just sat in a form of complacency and an outright virtue signal. So, I brought somebody on here with me. This is a long-time friend of mine. I've been wanting to do this with this guy for quite some time, and we finally got this hammered down today. So I'm excited. He's a former physique competitor and Ironman competitor as well. Currently the country club GM over at Countryside in Naples, Florida. Guy I respect the hell out of. His name's Josiah Smith. Joe, how you doing, buddy?
Hey man, the respect goes two ways. You're one of my longest term friends, I think.
Hey, man, it's great. Since high school, since
Yeah.
we went to a Catholic high school together, and look at how we turned out. We're just just a couple of douchebags here on a
We
podcast, just having fun,
I
right?
think we turned out okay.
We did all right, I think. I mean, we're
Yeah.
classic examples of success, I'd say. I mean,
I mean the school doesn't exist anymore, but
they had to knock that shit down after we were there, man. We tore that up. It was just residual, man. We were class of 2001, and then everything after that just kind of kept deteriorating because of what we did.
went
So,
downhill.
yeah, it
Went
was.
downhill.
Those were good days, man, back in the late 90s. That was such
Yeah.
a good time, dude. So, but since then, we went to school up here in Chicago, and you've migrated south. You're in Naples, Florida, and you've been there for quite some time. So
Yeah.
how's life in Naples, man? What do you what's it like out there? What keeps you there, and what
Well,
do you
I
do?
moved down after high school. I went to college for 15 minutes, I think. You went all 4 years, no?
Well, I kind of yes, in a way. I took that 4 years and I just kind of stretched it over about 11, but I did finish. I
Did
did
you,
have
let me ask you, did
yeah.
you go because that was the next thing to do?
Yes, I followed the I did I went to get the piece of paper. I went
Yeah.
because you need the piece of paper. It's what society says that you have to do, that you have to go and follow it. I did it the right way though. There's different ways I think to get your degree at this point. I did an episode once about, the ROI of a degree at this point. I know some of them
Yeah.
are definitely very very lucrative and they do return on an investment and they're good to have. But I think this whole idea that you need to have a piece of paper to get a job and an elevated salary, especially now when it doesn't really always apply. I've always thought that was sort of I don't know, this didn't make a lot of sense. And then people are going into
Yeah.
crippling debt. It's the crippling debt that goes along with it. You know what I mean?
Well, and I think you're right. I mean, it doesn't necessarily determine the quality of person you're getting,
Mm-hmm.
or the quality of leader you are, that, whether or not you have this piece of paper. I mean, it was something that I was like self-conscious over for many, many years. But I literally never ever had that desire to go.
Yeah,
You
that's
know?
it's like the
Um,
passion, the purpose. What's behind it? You didn't have something behind it,
yeah.
right?
I didn't like that structure of being in. I couldn't wait to get out of school. I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
wait to, and I didn't know I was going to end up in the business I'm in.
Yeah.
But you can always connect the dots looking backwards, and I can see the connections now when I look
Mm-hmm.
back on my career. But yeah, anyways, no, I came down here. My parents moved down after it's like, well, after we graduated. Um, and have been here ever since. So 25 years or something now.
Yeah. So that's been a while.
Um,
So 25 years I've been pretty relatively jealous of you and in the winter cursing your name when it's, -10
Hey
up
man,
here.
it's all relative. I'll tell you, there's a lot that I miss of, with Chicago. It's one of the reasons we used to visit there. I mean, I haven't been back since
I
let's
saw
see,
you.
Brian passed in 21. I went back the following year, 22, to see his parents, but I haven't been back since
No, no,
then.
no, you have. No, you technically weren't. You were in Michigan with me. We went
Yeah,
to Sarah's wedding.
that's
Sarah's
right.
wedding up in Michigan.
That's
But that
right.
did you get out to Chicago at all during that time or no?
Actually, we did. We stopped in the city on the way back to the airport.
There you
So I
go.
guess that was a
That
false
counts.
statement.
That
But
counts.
but no, man, I miss the city. I miss the fall and the holidays.
Yeah, that's something that I always like. Everything to me, I want to get the hell out of here. This area between January and April, get me out of here. I'll take our
Yeah.
summers and I'll take our fall and our Christmas time and all that. But what are you doing now over there? You're over at Countryside, right? You're a GM?
Yeah, chief operating officer. I've been in the club business for 20 years down here. Started at the bottom, parking cars,
Hmm.
which is what I did in high school.
Yeah.
And I mean, I worked for a developer down here for 17 years. One of the youngest GMs in the state. I was 26 when I took my first GM job. And again, not an industry that I thought I was gonna, you know, um, go after. It just kind of unfolded for me. When I look back now, I followed what I was excited about. Like I always
Hmm.
liked cars, and that was my in. And I excelled at, the customer service part. And then it was like, hey, why don't you try the dining room? And I was like, okay, let's try that. And I enjoyed it. And it was like, why don't you try bartending? Let's try that. And that led me into some interesting. There's a reason I don't drink anymore, but we can talk about that.
Sure.
And then yeah, I mean, just as things unfolded in front of me, I was like, I think I want to be a general manager, and I took my first GM job in 2009. So do the math. I don't know however long that
Oh,
was.
yeah, well, that's coming up on what, 17 years or so. I think my math
Yeah.
is pretty decent. But what I like what you did there, it seems like you just sort of maybe didn't overthink anything and you didn't just try to overplan. I think we kind of overplan lives. I mean, yes, you have to have a plan in life. I think it is good to do that. And that's kind of getting us into that intention part of life where we sit in the planning phase for too long. But what sounds like what you did there was you kept on sort of just going along with what felt right to you.
Yeah, I mean, I just, again, it didn't, I'll be honest, like at the time, going through it, it didn't feel right. It was completely unnerving. I always felt like, well, what am I going to do? Like,
Yeah.
where am I going? And, you have that external pressure from, your parents or, members at the club or, bosses or like, what are you going to go to school? What are you going to do with your life? And just like every job I was in, it was like, well, I'm serving tables now
Hmm.
or I'm bartending now. I just, it's easy for me to sit here today and look back and say, yeah, I just trusted the path, but I don't know that I did at the time,
Right. Well, you
but it
just
unfolded in the right way for me,
Yeah,
you know.
well, that's what works. And you're a good example too, because like if you think about it, if I told somebody, and I hope this doesn't offend you, but if I told somebody that, hey, this guy, he's got no college degree and he's tattooed like crazy, you want to hire him for a GM job? Like a lot of people would just and look at you're a professional as hell. You excel at what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? But like if I explain that stigma to you, people might have like this apprehension. Yeah, who's this guy? And but then when you see you, it's
Sure.
just kind of like to not judge a book by its cover. You know what I mean? I think we do too much of that,
100%,
right?
100%.
And then
Yeah.
you're doing your thing and you're got a great career going and now and you got a podcast yourself too, right? You guys are doing one over there?
Yeah. I started one here, primarily hospitality focused. We had this saying I took from one of my endurance coaches. How we do small things is how we do all things. And it kind of became the motto here at the club through COVID because we couldn't do the big stuff,
Mm-hmm.
the big events, the big golf stuff. And I said, this was like what, 2020, 2021. And I was training really hard at the time. And this coach I had who was out in LA was like dialing back my training to the bare minimum, and I was having a difficult time with that. And he was like, "We're starting," and that was he said, "How we do small things, how we do all things." Like I want to know how, you do this, you do the basics, and I just carried that into the club. And at the time, I was like, we can't do the big stuff, so let's focus on the small stuff. Like, what can we do to make the experience for our members and each other special in
Right.
this time of uncertainty? So it kind of became our motto. So when we decided to start this podcast, that's what we called it. It's called How We Do Small Things. And it's really like that's what makes hospitality special, the service industry special. Anyone can do the big stuff. It's the details, it's the stuff behind the scenes, it's those little tiny things that we do to make people special, feel special.
Yeah, it's a little extra. It's like building the foundation, really, right? So like you
Absolutely.
build that
And that
foundation.
really is the core of so much of, myself and kind of the path that I've, traveled these last, 15, 20 years is going back to the basics and right? Kind of breaking yourself down.
Sometimes you got to reintroduce yourself to the basics and a lot of things if you get carried
Yeah.
away. So I think
Yeah.
that's cool. So how many episodes you got now? How many episodes have you done?
Oh, I think we're maybe 20. We're
That's
young,
good.
man.
That's all right, man.
We're babies.
Hey, that's all right, man. It's a crowded space. But it's good to do. You never know. I always say it's too with this podcast, probably with yours too. You could say the same. As long as you're hitting a difference for the couple of people here or there, even just one person, it's like let's
That's
just
it,
do.
man. If one person takes something away that makes them think differently or feel better about themselves, or any little nugget, any little gem of inspiration, then it's making a difference. And
Yeah.
that's really what it's all about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true, man. And we have to do that because we have a society now that where we're almost like obsessed with like how many likes we can get, how many followers can we get.
Yeah.
But and that is fine and all, and I get having an audience is important. But at the same time, if you're doing it with purpose, like your podcast with this one, and you'll be satisfied and you'll be fulfilled just by being able to touch a few lives, even if you did. So I think
Yeah.
that's kind of cool, man.
And a lot of it too, and I'll be completely honest, like it's selfish because I get a lot out of it,
Yeah.
you know. And whenever you can do something, do something that brings you joy or inspiration, but at the same time put something positive out in the world, um, there's nothing wrong. Who cares about the likes? Who cares about how many
Mm-hmm.
listeners, or who cares?
Right.
And yeah, selfishly, like when I sit down with people, or when I sit down, like once a month, we do like a month in review of what happened at the club.
Mm-hmm.
And it's me and a couple of my other managers, and we just like bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, hey, and kind of really just give a raw, hey, let's talk about what it's like when we go into dinner and have 80 reservations and 400 people show up. Like,
Right.
what
And
does
you're
that feel like?
Well, your podcast too. You guys are petite. You're doing some team building in there. Like that's a team building
Yeah,
effort. You guys are opening up to each other. You're growing in that sense, and you're also showing some transparency at your club, which I'm sure is cool, right? Because then, like, if anybody's going to become a member, they have this extra outlet of, hey, who's actually at this club? Okay, you can get a little bit more about their personalities. Am I right with
yeah.
that? That's kind of another way to go.
Well, from an industry standpoint too, it's like, as human beings, we all deal with the same shit,
Yeah.
different facets of the same shit. And I know one of the things when I go to a conference, my biggest takeaway is always talking to another GM and hearing that he's dealing with the same BS at his club that might be across the country as I deal with at my club. And I walk away, I'm just like, look, the most basic human need is you just don't want to feel like you're alone,
Yeah. You want to have
right?
value. You want to feel valued. You want to feel important. Valued.
Yeah. And so that's like one of the other things that we do when we try and put this content out there is like, let's talk about what's going on at our club in the hopes that a club next door listens to it. And I've got a pretty big reach with the industry. And someone on the other end who's sitting at a desk like this at another club says, "Huh, man, I deal with that same shit here.
Yeah.
It feels good.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not
kind of
just me."
nice to have that misery loves company at sometimes, right? It's like
Yeah,
a little bit of camaraderie with that. How many are on your podcast? I listened to a few episodes, and I think you had like maybe 4 or 5 people. Is it a round table kind of thing?
it's usually four of us.
That's cool. Yeah,
Yeah, it's usually four of
that's
us.
usually a good number to get a lot of different perspectives without too many people crowding it up. So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. So that's again taking action, doing
Plus,
things.
that's the amount of microphones I have.
Okay, well that makes more sense too, because you want to go be buying, spending more money
There,
and trying to expense more shit for the company. I get it. I
there's
get
there's
it.
a science behind it.
But yeah, to start a podcast, though, that will take us right into the action over intention that we're going to be talking about here today. Joe here inspired me a lot because I've been a very complacent guy in my life. Again, I'm not here to preach. I'm here because I'm learning myself, and I struggle also sometimes. I get caught in a planning phase. This podcast that I'm doing here 4 years ago was one of those things I thought about forever, and there's a lot of pain and thinking in limbo, and you just resistance, and like, no, 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 not now, not now. Take the fucking action and just do it is the way to go. So
Yeah,
you got a tattoo on your, is it on your wrist, right? You got a tattoo on your wrist. I
yeah,
believe it's very very direct. It's very not subtle. It says
yeah.
it. And you could show us if you got it there. There it is. We can see it.
Right
Okay.
now.
Action over intention. Action with the line over intention. So let me ask you, you got more tattoos than me. It's not a race. It's not a competition, even though maybe deep down inside, maybe it is for me and I'm trying to catch you. But but what was your main inspiration behind that? And when did you get it? What drove you to go to that tattoo artist and say, I want action over intention, one of the most visible parts of your body that you see every day?
Yeah. Gosh, man. That was one of my early ones. And I'm trying, I don't remember where I did not come up with that.
I know it's
I,
not original, but you use it and you brought it's yours
I
now.
don't
It's on
remember
you.
where, I don't remember where I heard it, but I went through this, I did the bodybuilding physique thing for a number of years. And I think I got this when I got into the endurance sports, and training for the Ironmans and the ultra marathons and stuff. And it was just really one of those things where like everybody has like we all have good intentions,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
New Year's resolutions and just even mid-year resolutions. Like I'm gonna eat better. I'm gonna journal. I'm gonna be a better person. I'm gonna go to the gym. Like those are all intentions,
Mm-hmm.
and the intentions are great. But really, what makes it real is when you take action.
Correct.
And that's when you think about like the intention is the seed, action is the water,
Right.
right? And you got to plant the seed, and nothing's going to happen unless you water it. And I was just, I was going through these phases. All my physical fitness has really come from a place of darkness, really. I've been sober now for it'll be 3 years in June when I had my hip replaced, which we can talk about that.
Sure. Sure. Would love to.
And I drank heavily from a young age to cope with a lot of shit. And I would flip the switch and I would say, okay, I'm sober and I'm gonna train and I'm gonna go, do a bodybuilding show. And I would go like dial in for whatever, 8, 9, 10 months. I'd step on stage shredded, and then I would celebrate by going to drink.
Yeah, it was almost like too far extreme on both ends. Did you think you went
Oh,
too
100,
far?
it was just trading one addiction for the other. You
Okay.
know,
Yeah.
anything, action over intention today, I think means something a little bit different for me. One of the things I've thought about a lot recently is like anything used to distract you from the work you should be doing, whether it's positive or negative, will be detrimental to you in some form or fashion.
Mhm.
So, in other words, the work that I should have been doing was, really on myself, what was going on in here. And the reason that was driving me to be so hyper focused on fitness or, you know, coping with, booze.
Yeah.
Um, and at the times where I was hyper focused on fitness, people would look at me and say, man, he's got all his shit together. But I was just using that to distract me from what I should have been doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So even like today, the tattoo still has a lot of meaning for me, but you know, whatever. Let's say I did my first Ironman in 2019. So what's that? 7 years ago?
Wow. Yeah.
7 years ago when I got it, it was more like I got it at a time where I was like, don't be a fucking pussy,
Yeah. Yeah.
fuck your intention, take action.
Right.
You know, you can look at it in that way, but for me today, it's almost as a softer approach to it, where it's like, listen, the action that I need to take is on myself and doing the work, the real hard work, you
Correct.
know,
Right.
really going out and, running, 50 miles. It's hard work, but you could do it. you know?
I go 2 blocks and I'm winded, Joe. I don't know how the hell you did any of that. I really I'm not very good at that. But I do think the progression that you took, I think it's very normal and very natural. And it's the way you had to do it. I think you did start with that. Hey, don't be a pussy. Go. Balls out, balls to the wall. Fuck saying do what you're going to say. It's a real
Yeah.
hard kind of thing. And then I think, as you went through it,
It's just
maybe
not
you grew.
sustainable though.
Right, right. That's
No,
the problem. The extremes are not sustainable. Like maybe running those distances and but also drinking a whole bottle of or half a bottle of vodka in a day is not sustainable. You know what I mean? It's
no.
just and it is. It's true. And that's something else I would like, people to understand too about fitness. There a lot of people, and maybe not so much as going into the physique competitor stuff or the Ironmans, but like a lot of us, me included, we got into this fitness thing because maybe we were distracting ourselves from the work we actually had to do. Maybe it did stem some from deep insecurities or something of the sort. So that's why I sometimes, kind of say, hey, you know what? If someone's going to be getting into this fitness thing, they have to kind of you have to kind of understand that they're coming from somewhere potentially that
Yeah.
is dark and deep. And you might learn that it's not all solvable by fitness. One thing that people do say that I don't agree with about is fitness is it's the gym is their therapy. Um, I see that. I get it. It helps, but I think therapy is therapy, and there's a lot of deep rooted stuff that you have to kind of find out about yourself. I believe that, and it's not all solvable just through the gym or through
No,
fitness,
it's not,
right?
and I think one of the important things about therapy, I mean, I've spent hours upon hours upon years, in different therapist offices. And, I think that the important thing is that what you're getting out of that is you're getting this unbiased what is it like to be on the other side of me?
Right.
Which which in the gym, I mean, yeah, you can work out some aggression, you can work out some shit in your head. When I used to go out on, knock out 100 miles on a bike, yeah, I would work out stuff in my head. But at the end of the day, you're not really doing the deep work. You're not asking yourself the tough questions.
Hmm.
You're
Yeah.
not forcing yourself to really, you know, look at those demons because, at the end of the day, you're trying to distract yourself from that
Correct.
most of the time.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You
It's
know,
the work they don't want to do. It's a therapy has a stigma to it that needs to go away very fast. It's like a weakness almost to go to therapy. And no, that's an action to take. You can intend on think about going how much regret would somebody have if they're feeling like shit, they weren't right inside. They have these demons that they can't address. They're not able to see it through their own personal lens. They need an outsider's perspective, a trained one, and they wait 3, 4 years to do it. How much damage did they do to their lives in between that? And they should have taken that action. And
yeah,
action is going in and signing up with a therapist and scheduling yourself time. And then the action from the therapy is building on that when you leave. It's never
yeah.
ending. It's just never ending,
You're,
right?
you're going to talk shit out. I mean, everyone
Hmm.
needs to do that.
Yeah.
No one has all the answers. You know
No,
what I mean?
not at all. And I think we
And you're
also,
absolutely right. Like that is the strength, the difficult thing is
mhm,
doing that,
right.
you
Right.
know?
Yes. I always say asking for help is a strength. Then that in therapy, in a sense, is asking for help. I need help to figure out why my internal alarm is the way it is. I need to
Yeah.
understand why this is. So let's go do it. If you got a great therapist, you're going to learn some things. And then that's hard because you got to face yourself. It's like facing your past. And in a sense, you can almost be like just bewildered due to the fact that, you lived your life a certain way and it almost feels like, who was I? And then it's like, I feel like I've died and come back to life 3 times since the last 10 years. Like I just feel like
Yeah.
a different person. I don't mean to say that to where I'm not elevated over anybody. I'm not better than anybody from that, but I just feel like that I've had shifts um
Well, you
from
are though. I mean, I am
right.
too,
Well, we all are
You-
improving, right? But like I mean to say, like I got out of just like you get out of the surface level stuff. Like I mean, man, dude, and I don't like to sound like this, but man, I used to be die hard into sports, right? Like dude, the Cubs were on. Fuck it. I got to sit in front of the TV. Fucking Sundays, 7 hours of football, man. I can't do that shit anymore. I said, there's just life is entirely too dynamic, and there's too much
yeah.
now with kids, with our physical health, with just taking care of ourselves and our families. Right? I don't know. That's just one of those things that I really had to put away. But Yeah,
Well, and it could all be over tomorrow, man.
true. We don't know.
You know
We
what I
don't
mean?
know. Yeah, we're
And I'll tell
fortunate.
you, like, with when Brian passed, like that fucking rocked my world, dude.
Yep, yep. We had for those that don't know, we had a friend, a classmate back that passed away about 5 years ago, running a marathon. Really sad, really terrible situation. Family, three kids, and it was really terrible. But yeah, that's an
Yeah.
eye-opening event. And again, I talked to you. I remember talking to you that day because that was one of your best friends, and you were doing a race at that time, and I
Same
thought
day,
you
yeah.
were the first guy I thought of when that happened. I was like, oh, I gotta call Joe. I said he does this stuff. It's like this is
Yeah.
parallel for him, especially. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, wow. So yeah, no, that's a type of. How did that affect you going forward? From because we talked about you doing Ironman and all that. Did that play a role in any slowing you down? Did it slow you down at all from that? Or
No, it didn't slow me down. So that was April 21. I did a big race that following month in May, up in North Florida, Panama City Beach. And then I ran a couple 50Ks. One of which was I celebrated a year of sobriety and I ran for 365 minutes.
oh
That was
wow,
my that was my year of sobriety
three
celebration.
you ran for 365 minutes straight.
Yeah, yeah, it was 6 hours.
Wow, dude, you ran more in that day than I did in the last like 10
Yeah,
years, dude. That's pretty
but I don't
cool.
even know. I mean, at the time, I thought it was great. I don't even know that it was a healthy decision to
I don't
do.
know, man. I don't know if our bodies are supposed to go through these kinds of things. A lot of the stuff, I respect it. I'll forever respect you for your, um, for your physique competitions, which you looked fantastic in the most heterosexual way. Not that there's anything wrong with it otherwise, but, but also, those Ironmans, man. That's to those that don't know, what is it? Is that 70 points or is that
Yeah,
a
I was
half?
doing I was doing the half distance. Yeah, it was 1.2 mile swim, 56-mile bike ride, and a half marathon,
So
13.
13.1.
Yeah,
So that's a 70.1 total, right? Is that right?
73,
70,
70.3.
70.3. Okay.
Yeah,
And that's a half Ironman?
yeah.
That's wild.
I actually I was training for Wisconsin in September of that year, and we drove all the way to the race in Madison. My wife, Emma, the dog, and I turned in my timing chip the day before the race.
Mm-hmm.
I was a mental wreck,
Mm.
So
I remember
again, just
this.
one of those, a good example of like, everyone seeing what I was doing on social media and being like, holy cow, this guy's killing it. Like, I mean, some of my training days for that race were like, 8, 9 hour days, 10-hour days. I
What's that?
remember one of my longest days, I did 120 miles on the bike. It was 6 hours, and I got off and I ran a 10K like
Jeez.
off the bike.
Wow.
But yeah, drove all the way up there. Just was not in a good mental state. And literally day before the race, I turned in my timing chip, you
What'd you do
know?
then? Did you just head back? Just
Yeah. Yeah, we drove home the morning of the race
that was
from
was
Wisconsin.
that the last one you were going to do? Was that the last one you registered for?
No, I did one more in December of that year in Daytona. It was actually a pretty cool race. It was one of my fastest races. I did it uh, right around 5 hours. It was a half at
That's
the
wild.
Speedway, Daytona Speedway.
Okay.
But that race, I like wrecked my body.
Is that what
Like I was done. After that, it's when the following, let's see, that was December 21. I trained through 2022, but really not great. And then 23, I got a hip replacement, total hip replacement. 2024, I had my shoulder done, and I need an ankle also.
is that the hip and the ankle especially? Is that attributed, you think, to the Ironman training?
100%.
100%. Okay.
100%.
I just didn't know if there was anything else underlying or you believe that was that,
No,
but
100%.
something you said that was also very good to know to hear out there is that, like you said, you were on Facebook and Instagram at that point, and you were putting out there all the stuff that looked like, you looked like a damn superhero out there. You did,
Yeah.
and it's all very good stuff, but I'm just saying that, like, but you were saying, like, deep down, that's not who you really maybe were or felt like.
Oh man, I was struggling.
So you got to, that's a big problem with the internet and this social media stuff, and it's not going anywhere. But at the same time, we are sort of like perception wired, right? Like, we're gonna go ahead and there's Joe. He's gonna put out what he wants to put out, but we're gonna process it how we want to process it, and we're gonna develop an opinion of Joe and think this and that of him when the real man is going through something that's completely opposite of what's being seen
Well,
here.
and you know what's sad is like it's like this spiral of insecurity, like you're putting, for me anyways, like I was projecting this persona because of my own insecurities and stuff that I was dealing with, and I'm doing so I mean, yeah, I'm focused on whatever, achieving this goal of mine, and I'm sharing the story, in hopes that others are like inspired by it. But with what they're seeing, it just creates them to be insecure because they see someone like me and they're like, holy cow, like I don't know how he does that. Like I don't know how he
Hmm.
does that. And meanwhile, I'm doing it from a place of like mentally, I'm like, I'm gonna destroy, I'm so unhappy with what's going on up here. I'm just gonna run myself physically into the ground. Just try and physically destroy myself.
So it was a form of self-destruction in a sense that you were maybe like using as, health in a way,
Yeah.
and training.
It's distraction, man. Like I said, anything that you're using to distract yourself from the deep work you should be doing is going to be detrimental at some point.
It's a vice, right? Like you said.
For
Yeah.
me, look, everyone's like, "Oh, how can fitness be detrimental?" Well, you know, not done in moderation. I was 38 years old. I had a total hip replacement.
There you go. Anything in
You know what I mean?
anything in excess is poison, because even water, like, you can overdose on water.
Yeah.
You could, whatever. I mean, it's true. Anything in excess like that is definitely poisonous, and there are extremes to where you're just trying to mask something. I don't want to tie it to this, but like, I went to a seminar recently at my church, and
Uh-huh.
it's not necessarily the same at all, Joe. I'm not gonna don't yell at me for this one, but they had a woman speaking there, and she was a born a woman, became a man, and then transitioned back to a woman
Okay.
after finding God. And she said something really that just really stuck with me. Now, again, I'm not trying to push or go against any agendas here, but at the same time, she said something that was just so good. She said, because of, her situation, she didn't love herself. There was a lot of reasons. I'm not going to get too deep, but she didn't love herself. So the surgeries, all of that was just her chopping off. She was a tree, and she was just chopping off rotten fruit that was growing.
Mm.
So she was just keep on rotten fruit off. But she's like, I never addressed the root, because the root was causing the fruit to grow that way. And if that makes sense. So that's kind of how she put it. And then, so once she addressed the root, found God, all of this stuff, she became clear, and she was healing from things. She had said that her mother had had two boy miscarriages, or lost two boys, and then had her and a brother. And the brother was favored heavily because the mom had such guilt over those losses. So
Yeah.
she was like, I need more attention from my mom, so I want to be a boy. That plus she had abuse and stuff like that. But I'm just saying, like, you see these things, and again, this is where I'm not trying to push this agenda at all, but I'm just saying, like, think about where people are coming from and what they're doing. There's so much more in there. It's not just like, hey, they're weird, or he's obsessed with fitness, or fuck that guy, or fuck this person for thinking they're that, or whatever. There's
Right.
something deep going on, and that's just what it comes down to. You know what I mean?
Right.
So the fruit kept growing shitty, and you know. So I don't know why I threw that in. I tied it in a little bit. I don't
But
know if that
no, I
makes
mean
sense.
it's so true, and
Yeah.
I think you know on the outside, like okay, we're all pretty basic, right? We got a head, four limbs, torso, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
humans are humans. but there's so much more that goes on the inside. And I think the biggest, like the thing that's so important to me, anyways, is realizing that everybody's got shit going on the inside.
Everybody does.
Everyone, you
Yes.
know?
And what's wild is, man, is what I would love to know, just for my own, like, just my own self, just my own selfishness. Every single person you know, everyone has a different perception of you, like
Yeah,
completely. Like and I think some people have a perception of themselves that isn't even accurate of what they're broadcasting. You know what I'm saying? Like. It's kind of wild how, like, you could just, if you know 400 people, they each have a different view of you, but you think you're
yeah,
just this one concrete person. And that's why people get in a lot of arguments, because they believe there's something, and they might be right, or they might even be wrong, because they don't know how they're showcasing themselves. But either way, someone's going to respond and see you through a lens from their past. It's kind of wild, man. The psychology of all this stuff and how we see each other is insane. And
yeah.
it needs to be, I mean, if they cared about us in schools, Joe, we would be exercising, we'd be eating right, we'd be having wealth management, and we would be doing mental health stuff and emotional health shit. Like, that's the core. You want to create a fucking thriving society, that's fine, but they don't have it that way because the system will collapse. So, because we need idiots in debt and taking pills. That's what we need, or else we're
So you
fucked.
mean to tell me you're not using any of the shit we learned in school?
Oh, dude, all the time, bro. I still bust out geometry books for fun, dude. It's great. Just before bed, I just, doing parallelograms and rhombuses and all that,
Parallelogram.
yeah, we don't know. I just did my taxes today, so there you go. But they didn't teach us how to do that very well. But now we got TurboTax and jerks and from H&R Block. But anyways, so yeah, so dude, so when you're doing these things, so you get done, so you did the physique thing. Let me ask you this to just
Yeah,
backtrack a little bit. What took you from, because you pretty much went from physique competitor to Ironman, right?
yeah,
What took
yeah.
you from one to the other? What made you transition to from one to the other?
Um, you know, I I was always I was always in the gym. So like my fitness, even in high school, like my fitness was like, okay, go to the gym. So I think that was my into the physique, and I never really liked to like I was never a big cardio guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, well, I was always built a little bit bigger. At the time that I got into, the bodybuilding thing was like maybe 2000, between like 2010, 2011, 2012, like that
Yeah.
time frame. I think it was really getting, I don't want to say it wasn't in the heyday down here, but it was like getting more mainstream down in Florida.
Okay.
Um, and it just fascinated me. Um, the thing was is that like I didn't have the right build to like I mean I could get really lean, but like my limbs are really, I got long legs,
Mm-hmm.
long arms, like and then I had this real issue after like my fifth or sixth show. I had this like issue with being judged by a panel of judges who were fat as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
And literally like you'd have these guys like one show they'd be like, well, you need, you know, you need more roundness in your shoulders and your upper chest needs more fullness. And you're looking at this guy and you're like, dude, you can't even see your feet. Still fucking
Yeah,
fat.
that's one of
And
the
then the
aspects.
next
Yeah.
show you'd get a different judge who's just as fat and give you like something different.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just got really like,
Superficial, maybe a little superficial, maybe, right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
who are you
So
to tell me that, right?
yeah, exactly. And I mean, it got to be expensive too. I mean, um, my transition into actually, I'll tell you exactly. I know I remember exactly when I transitioned into the endurance stuff. It started with cycling.
Okay.
Um, I had I had I had a road bike, an old road bike that I bought from a friend of mine that I would use during when I was bodybuilding. I would use it for just some cardio. And I got on that road bike and I was like, I'm going to start riding this. And it was old. So literally like 3 weeks later, I go to the Trek store and I'm like, I'm going to buy a new bike. I walk out with like a $6,000 carbon fiber
Hmm.
race bike. So my wife and I, we had gone, this was in September, we'd gone to see Billy Joel in Wrigley Field. And the night of the concert, I must have drank 40 beers.
Oof.
We went to McDonald's across the street from
Mhm.
Wrigley Field, and I had like two Big Macs. I wake up the next morning and we run a 5K down Michigan Avenue. There was a race that we had signed up for when we were there.
You're hungover as hell.
I don't know how I did it, but
Jeez.
we're sitting in the hotel that afternoon, and I'm like, I can't do this. Like, I need to get myself back into shape.
Hmm.
And I just bought this bike, and I'm like, I'm gonna sign up again. This is the extreme in me. I'm like, I'm just gonna sign up for the longest bike race I could find. So I find a race down here in Florida. We were staying at the Chicago Athletic Association. We're sitting in the lobby, and I'm on my computer and I'm Googling this, and I find a 200-mile 2-day bike race. It was 100 miles from Naples to like Lake Placid and
Okay.
100 miles back, and I signed up for it.
Mm.
And I'd never done anything. So I end up training. That was in September. The race was in March.
Okay.
So I train the whole time. Like I go like the switch flips for me, right?
Hmm.
Dialed in. We get back from Chicago. I'm dialed in. I get a coach. I get back with my nutritionist, and I end up finishing that race. There was probably, I don't know, 200 riders. Um, I finished with the first group, the Trek team.
Okay.
They
Wow.
were all on time trial bikes, and I was on a road bike. And I mean, it just killed it.
That's awesome.
So cycling was kind of my in. So then after that race, and I'd done a few other races. Um, After that race, I wanted a faster bike. And the next step up with bikes are these time trial bikes. Like you see, they're also called triathlon bikes, the real aero, where you're kind of down in the bars.
Hmm.
And they're like, well, the next step up is one of these. And I said, well, I'm not doing triathlon. They're like, well, why don't you just do one? So I literally bought that bike. I did a triathlon so I could buy the bike,
There you go. Well,
in
they
other
gotta have a
words.
reason.
And that's how I got into it. And when
Yeah.
I decided to do I didn't do any, I mean, because there's sprint level triathlons that are really short. I went right to the half Ironman. I didn't know how to swim and I wasn't a runner.
Did you get more
And I got a
satisfaction?
coach.
Did you get more
What's that?
satisfaction? Do you get more satisfaction out of did you get more satisfaction out of completing one of these races and finishing well than you did in the bodybuilding competitions?
100%.
Is it because it was not judged? It was literally not a judgment. It was
Not
more of a,
judged. And
you know,
the bodybuilding, I mean, so many of those guys, I mean, they're on gear,
yeah.
and I mean, there's a lot of that in racing also, and especially the cycling world, there's a lot of PED use.
Yeah.
Um, but I, I I'd see like in the bodybuilding world, t- you see these guys they're using all these PEDs and anabolics, and I literally would finish. I'd get step off stage, and there'd be a group of guys out back smoking.
Hmm. Yeah. It's
And
wild.
I'm like,
Doesn't
I
make
don't know.
sense.
It's just
Well, it's not
it's
healthy
so
then.
visual. The
It's a visual
bodybuilding thing is
thing.
so visual.
Yeah, it's just that superficiality. It's a look based. It's an aesthetics. It's all it is. It's aesthetics. It doesn't matter about
Whereas,
anything else.
in the endurance world, even if you're using drugs, you're still fucking working hard,
True. True
without
story.
question. Like you're still working hard.
Right.
So yeah, it was more satisfaction. And really what was really satisfying for me was knowing that I had never done it before.
Hmm.
Like I learned to swim to do my first Ironman, and like I set my own goals. Like I wanted that first race, I really wanted to finish it in under 7 hours, which is a respectable time for a half distance.
Hmm.
And I was like in the low sixes, I think.
Wow. That's impressive.
Um, I mean, and really, like, dude, when you push your body to that extreme, I mean, it's the it's a drug, like anything else. It's a
Right.
drug.
You're getting a natural high from this, and that's
Yeah.
can be looked at as the vice. Do you have any regret? I know we try not to ever have regrets, but do you wish you kind of did the big bike race and then maybe one Ironman competition and one and done, so you kind of could just have accomplished it, or
No, because you know what? When I look back, I needed to, I needed that path to get to where I'm at today.
right? That's a good call. Yeah, I like that, man.
You
There's a term, amor fati. It's like no matter what, you just remember, everything has a purpose, and everything it dictates your path, and you can't be who you are today. That's where we pull out the regrets, right? So you
Yeah.
just yes. So
I
like,
mean,
keep going.
I talk a lot about that, when I speak with other club managers on leadership and stuff, I talk a lot about like, not to let the title define who you are, or
Right.
even like an accomplishment, not to let, finishing an Ironman define who you are. Like for me, the title of, chief operating officer, that's not who I am. Like the title as a leader, the title needs who I am. Like all the parts of me, including the messy stuff
Mm-hmm.
and the tattoos and the extreme, you know, back and forth, and even like, the shitty stuff earlier in life.
Mm-hmm.
Like the title I hold today needs all that. Like that's the stuff that I bring to the title, that I make the title mean something.
You shape the title to you who you are. You don't.
100%.
That's. I think we'd actually have a lot better. I don't know, work environments if we kind of went that way. And I think that's another thing. Like we were talking
Because
about.
you have a better, I mean, when I look at, and I used to be so self-conscious about this, like especially as I was coming up, I'd be in these, big meetings with the executive team, and these guys, who have the MBAs, and they go to the business schools, and here I am, a 20 something year old kid with a high school diploma barely, who's just learned it all, you know on the job. But I look at where I'm at today, like I think I'm able to relate better to more people because of the life experiences I've had versus someone, and I mean, you could take this out of context, but versus someone who's had a very curated life,
Hmm.
like did the school, great student, goes to whatever, Harvard, gets their MBA. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, well, there's
that.
real life academics. The problem is, and we were like we were saying before, man, academics are great, but they're only a part of it. Like
That's it. Yeah.
you learn more through experience and just life in general than
And
you do with
I
this.
will never downplay academics,
Right,
college. And I think like if you have the means to go, like absolutely it's great. Like
right,
do it, but if you don't want, like if that is not the path for you, don't let it, you know, don't let it get you down. Don't let it slow you down, you
right,
know.
right. No, that's absolutely true. And I that's what we were kind of saying earlier when we got started up. It was just like, we gotta have, the ability for people to be able to get jobs where they don't have to go into that deep debt and go that route. And again, that's not to shit on college, like you said. Like when I did the episode on that before, I said there's very necessary, you know, college
How did you
courses
pay
and
for college?
degrees.
Did you have
Tu-
scholarship?
Tuition reimbursement through my work. That's why it took
Yeah.
forever. So I went to a community college and finished up there. And then I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I just went to work. And then my company had this tuition reimbursement program, and where they gave you, if you got an A or a B in the class, they reimbursed you full.
Yeah.
So I went to DePaul. I did it online. I did homework on my lunch break, and eventually I got a 4-year degree, which I could tell you, I don't think I ever took a job that really needed it at this
Yeah.
point for me. It
But
just
still,
wasn't.
man, I mean, that's still a shit ton of work.
Yeah, it was work. It
Do it
was
that
what
way.
needed to get done. I finished it to Paul, like I said, and I was accomplishing. I was accomplished, but at the same time, when I look back, I'm like, yeah, I did something, but what did I really get in return from this? Like,
That I look at that. I mean, that's a great example of like action over intention. Because you're in a spot. I mean, the large company I worked for most of my career had tuition reimbursement too,
mhm.
but it never interested me because I was like, well, I'm working now. Like, why go do it now?
Right. But it makes
I
sense. That
mean,
thought. That was my thought process too. But it was just drilled in me from society and parents and school and teachers and everything that you got to get a college degree. It was like the sought out thing. I was just like,
Yeah.
dude, it was like one of these things. It was almost like one of those things that would just gnaw away at me. It's like, just get the fucking thing so everyone shuts the fuck up, and
Yeah.
just get it so you could shut this up back here. Just go get it. At this at this point, I mean, I like I said, don't regret anything. But again, what is it like? Yeah, I got a degree. Great. Like, who
Yeah.
cares? Like at this point, it was nothing specified. I mean, obviously, I do it differently if I was young now. I also think it's kind of wild, and you'll agree with this, I'm sure. I mean, we have kids that are hitting high school ages soon here and are already there. And I think it's wild, dude, to have an 18-year-old kid decide kind of his path or her path at that age. And I don't think 18-year-olds now are built like 18-year-olds 40 years ago. I think they're different. I think their maturity levels are different. I don't think they're how they used to be.
Well, I
So,
think I think so much of that has to do with what's on social media.
yeah,
These
social media is brutal.
these curated lives that they see, and like this fantasy of becoming an influencer and or be, like we've lost honestly, like when I look back
Hmm.
for myself, and I say this all the time, like you can only connect the dots looking backwards.
Hmm.
Like still to this day, like one of my biggest passions in the world is like I'm a car guy. I
Hmm.
love cars. I've just bought this project car. My daughter and I, we imported this car from Japan. We're restoring it. Like it's like that's like my hobby now.
Hmm.
And I've always loved cars. Like that's what got me into the career I'm in now.
Yeah.
And I think the social media in today's day and age, I think the kids are losing that connection, that internal connection. I didn't know what it was back then for
Right.
me. 'Cause
Right.
I was stupid,
Hmm. Hmm.
we most were. But I was just like, well, I'm gonna go park. I could drive cars. I can make some cash. Great job, right? And that literally led. I truly believe like that was the path. Led me
Hmm.
into this career that has allowed me to enrich the lives of others.
Right.
Truly,
It's
both my employees and my members. And today it's like I think it's very risky for these kids. Like if they're too much into what's online and what's on their fingertips,
hmm
like you lose that connection with yourself.
yeah. No, it's so true, man. It's just, and then we have these attention spans that are just being
Oh,
decimated. Mine included. Like me included. Like we got reels and TikToks and all this quick stuff that's just boom stimulating.
it's all dopamine, man.
Oh yeah, and you gotta, and if you gotta get people's attention now within 3 seconds, or else they're gone. It's
Yeah.
like that's how bad it's getting. And
And it adds to the insecurity that we all deal with anyways.
mhm,
It just enhances that.
right,
When you can open up your phone and see someone who's on this adventure or in this country or spending this amount of money or driving that car or wearing that watch or whatnot, it's just like, oh, they're doing it. Why can't I? I'm more insecure about myself now. And
right,
they're doing it because they are insecure about themselves and they
right.
feel like they have to show it off to the world.
But here's the kicker of it all, Joe. To take it even further, a lot of these people they might have a luxury car, but they actually rented that thing just to put it on
Right.
there. You know what I mean? They're not really there, or
Well curated.
they're in deep debt. Then you've got filters, and then you've got photoshopping, and now AI is really fucking some shit up. Like like why don't I look like this person? Oh, that was just an AI video. Oh shit, I was
Yeah.
insecure for a year because I thought that I didn't look like this person that was generated by a prompt. Like holy shit. Like
Yeah.
where are we going with this? Like it's gonna be it's gonna be weird, man.
Well,
I do fear for our kids, bro. Oof. I don't know,
it's
man.
crazy. But honestly, I think stuff like this form of communication
Yeah.
and just conversations like this, I truly believe like this just putting this out there.
Yeah.
One person hears it and they're like, God damn, that makes a shit ton of sense. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah. If it gets, some of us, even myself included, to just put that phone down and like just I catch myself scrolling. It's like I
Yeah.
stop at a red light and I'm like, bam,
Hmm.
phone. I'm on my phone at a red light. It's like, what the fuck am I doing, man? And it's nonsense. And it's between. You're just looking at people. You're talking about those people who are influencers and broadcasting success, and they're really just not. But like, what about all the other stuff that's out there, like the doom scrolling, the fake headlines, the
Yeah.
It's really really messed up, man. But like, so and it's just think about that. You scroll on a phone, you're laying in bed, you just ate a bunch of shitty food, you're feeling fat as fuck, and you're just laying there like a just a blob, and then you see some ripped ass person with super filtered and all that. Then you see a terrible news story that's fucking depressing, and then you see this and that, and we're taking that all in hit by hit, and we wonder why everybody's getting severely messed up. And
Yeah.
I think that's playing a role in it, and I don't think there's an end in sight. So that's the
There's
weird part.
no. Yeah, no, there's not, unfortunately. I mean,
AI might be it, and I'll tell you why. Because I think I'm probably going to be wrong with this, but AI is going to dupe so many people so many times that we're going to get so fucking sick of it. Like I can't get it's going to get so good that like holy shit, I just spent my whole day getting duped on the internet by like shit that's not real until they figure out how to regulate this crap. But then there's still going to be people that work around it. You know what I'm getting at?
yeah.
Like I see it now, dude. I when I hate myself, I go in the comment sections on Facebook, and I read what the hell these people are saying to each other, and it's a clear AI video, and there's people arguing about if it's real or not. I'm like, dude, you guys are crazy. There's a whole icon on there that shows that it's AI, and they're still yelling about it. This is no one's paying attention.
Yeah.
It's weird, man.
I'll tell you, man, when I was my last year of training, and really like through 2022,
Hmm.
I deactivated almost all of my social media,
Yeah, I
with
remember
the
when you did
exception
that.
of LinkedIn. I like
Yeah,
LinkedIn.
yeah,
And it like I never felt better.
yeah.
You
So
know?
you've been off. How long have you been off of outside of LinkedIn? How long have you been off Facebook, Instagram, and the rest?
Oh fuck,
You,
man. Probably
a few years.
4 years.
All right. So tell me what that's like, because I've never done it. I've taken some breaks, but I've never taken that away. What is the benefits here? Like, give me your just high level, just like what do you feel like now that you're outside, you're not in that bubble of Facebook, Instagram, Meta Universe shit.
I mean, I'd like to say I have more clarity, but I don't. I'm in this weird phase right now where I'm like, I don't know if it's just like my mid 40s. Like
Hmm.
I'm trying to figure out like what's next, you know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
stuck. Um, but I mean, it's just there's less noise,
Yeah. That's
you
true.
know. I mean, I still find myself scrolling. Like
Right.
I'll still like we like YouTube a lot,
Hmm.
so I'll still find myself scrolling like YouTube shorts or stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm still hooked in some way, but
Right.
I'll still scroll on LinkedIn, but to me, like it's a much shorter process. Like you don't go down this rabbit hole. Like
Hmm.
it's a lot of professional business leadership stuff, and then it's like, okay, I'm good, right? I've reached the end for the
Hmm.
day. Um, but then, on the other hand, I miss the ease of connecting with certain people,
Right. Right. That is the
like,
benefit. That is the benefit. There's
um,
pros and cons, man. I think it's how you use it, right?
unless I'm texting, I shoot you a text, or some of my other friends, like you just don't talk or you don't see what's going on. But on the flip side, it's also like I think it's good when you have to put a little bit, and shame on me, right? Like I don't put enough effort into a lot of my close relationships to check in on people.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
But it's not your burden to do so. I mean, all the time. I mean, it's not
no, but
something you have to carry, but it's nice to do. It's nice to check on people. Absolutely.
yeah.
But
The other thing that's tough too is like I know there's a lot of like businesses, and I'll use a good example like car shows. Like we like to go to car shows and stuff. Like you can't find like what's happening,
hmm.
locally unless you're on Instagram.
Right. Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
And
You're
there's a
absolutely
lot of
absolutely.
businesses now that don't even have websites, or a lot of like new restaurants doesn't even have websites, all Instagram.
Yeah. I think that's going to be I think that might be a future thing. Like websites are gone. It's just, I at some point, I feel like they're going to just merge. all the social media into just one, literally, like I think that's what they're trying to do with like Zuckerberg with his thing, like metaverse.
Yeah.
Like that's the metaverse. It's like, okay, we all live in this now. It's going to be one big ass piece of social media, and that's where everything is going to be at. You don't have an email address anymore. You don't have a business page. You got nothing, dude. Everything is just right then and there. There's no website. It's just straight up. It's going to all get consolidated. It's all going to be through digital currencies coming too eventually.
Scary
Straight
when
up.
you think about it.
Yeah, there's places that don't take cash anymore everywhere.
Yeah.
I went to Six Flags with my daughter a couple years ago, and they looked at the $20 bill. And, no, we're not taking that. I said,
Yeah.
none of it.
Oh, I
Yeah,
don't care. I don't carry cash on me.
I know. I kind of think we should, man. I don't want to get rid of it. Feels like we can lose some control. The government doesn't like that stuff, man. Paper money, but it's gonna go. There's no way. There's no way that shit's gonna stick around for a while. I will say that I will only get concerned about that when I start seeing them pulling ATMs out of banks. Then I'll worry
Yeah.
about it. Once they start, if they're like, "Oh, we're removing the ATMs," I'm like, "Okay, something's going on now. This cashless shit's for real. We're fucked, man." But
Go withdraw it all.
just take it all and just sort of stack it, and then it's become useless. It's just like, hey, you took out your digital shit, man. That paper's worthless now, bro. There's nowhere to deposit it. Fuck. I don't know what to do anymore, dude. So who knows? But anyways, so with this kind of closing it up here in a minute, what I suppose some areas where do you think people get most held up? This is something I pulled off. I use ChatGPT. I'm not gonna lie. Key life areas where action is delayed, Joe. Career and professional growth, kind of like you talked about, initiating a job change, asking for a raise, starting a business. I think that's where people sit complacent way too long, right?
Well, yeah, it's all the stuff that entices a sense of fear.
Yeah. It's change. Think about it. That's all change. You're asking to change your job. You're changing your pay. You are changing by starting a business. You're changing your life because you're changing
Yeah.
the business. So health and wellness is another one here. Health and personal wellness, making lifestyle changes. The word change keeps coming up. So exercise, dieting, addressing
Oh,
addictions.
it's literally it's like you're in this place of complacency, and it feels good to have an intention or a good
Hmm.
intention, but that minute you take action, that's like you said, it's change, and
Hmm.
it's the unknown. I don't know how it's gonna go.
Yeah.
But one thing I can tell you just from my own experience, like whatever is whatever is whatever brews a sense of fear or anxiety is exactly the direction you should go.
100%. It 100% is, man. And that's and that's why it's so hard. That's why we sit in that planning stage. And I get that too, man. One thing I'm notorious for is I will sit and like plan to plan. So like I'm
Yeah,
like, oh, I'll like make a note of what to do. Oh, I'll make a note of how to plan to do something else. So now I'm stuck, and that's no action really. I mean, yes, you have to plan certain things. I get it. There is planning involved in life. But like I'll feel very accomplished by just saying I'm going to plan something. And I'm like,
yeah.
this I didn't do anything. What the fuck? And then the other one here is social life and relationships. Setting boundaries, ending relationships, or confronting things. Another one, I'll tell you that I think people get stuck in a lot. This is me 100%. Um, you know, Leaving a relationship, whether it be a romantic one or a friendship, even like there's times, man, where we're growing. Like we talked about, Joe. We've stayed pals, which is nice, and let's keep that going. But some people grow in different directions in different ways. And I think one of the most important things to know is that like it's okay. Like I think it's always divisive. Like it's okay to grow apart from people and to cut
Yeah.
ties. It doesn't have to be so like volatile and angry and like mean. Like sometimes you just outgrew somebody and it doesn't mean you're better than them or they're better than you. It just means that you guys have taken two different directions, but people will sit in that, and what that'll do is, hey, you're not doing the same things as me anymore. That'll create some animosity between people, and I think that's where people sit too long in something like a friendship.
Yeah,
Would
and
you
I
say
mean, look,
so?
everybody is on their own journey, and there are people that you overlap journeys with, and sometimes it's for the long term, and sometimes it's just for, a short term,
Yeah.
or a phase of life. I mean, there are tons of people that I've like interacted with or been super close with. Like my first trainer,
Hmm.
when I was doing bodybuilding, he and I were super close for a long time, super close.
Is
And
that the guy who dressed up like Bane?
yeah,
Yeah, I remember that guy.
we still talk occasionally, but
Yeah.
different path.
Right, right.
One of my very, very, very best friends who was actually going to be Emma's godfather. Um, we were super close for a long time and grew apart.
Yeah.
Part of I stopped drinking, and you know, it's just life. Like that's
Right.
what happens.
And that's another thing too that you have to that I think we don't
It's
put it.
okay to have, you have to protect yourself with certain
Hmm.
things. It's okay for you to take a step back and say, listen, I'm not getting value from this. But this relationship is not helping me at all. I mean, it sounds selfish, but
Hmm.
you got to be selfish.
Yeah. You have to watch out for yourself or you will be just kind of taken in by your surroundings and your circle or whatever
Yeah,
that is. And you're just going to kind of succumb to whatever they want you to be. Because everybody actually, I think, has like a subconscious place for you in their lives. And if you start to move from that place where they see you, where they're comfortable where Joe Smith is right there. Joe Smith, I'm comfortable where you're at. And if you
yeah,
move from there, it's going to rattle my life and fuck things up. And I'm going to get mad at you for that when you start to do better for yourself, whether that be just because they're comfortable or they're insecure or whatever that is. And I've experienced it through my own first person views of people and had to reassess my own self. So, none of us are immune to this shit. We all think we are, but we're not.
yeah,
Financial management is another one. This one's kind of boring, paying bills, planning for the future. But yes, people wait way too long to start investing for their retirement and they don't realize the fucking compound interest that will accrue throughout a long period of life. But I know we're in a really weird financial place right now in the world, which is hard to put that on people at this point. But it's still there, and it's the way out. It's the freedom.
well,
So
and just don't buy shit you don't need.
don't pay interest on shit you don't need.
you know
And
it's like
yeah, live within your means, like they say. All that boring stuff, it sucks. And then the last one they put out here is goal pursuit and personal development, starting a new project, pursuing an education, acquiring new skills. This is what people do to that they hold back. And now if you think about all those career, health, relationships, finances, and personal development, that's pretty much your life right there. I mean,
yeah,
there's no surprises here. That's really, and I think we do have this intention on doing all these things. How many times people say it? I'm going to do it. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this, and then all of a sudden they're 78 years old and like I never did any of that, and now there's no time, and it's done. And the primary factors that they say, inhibiting this is fear of failure and judgment. So you have to realize then, I think, Joe, what do you say? Fear of failure and judgment. You have to realize failing is actually not truly a bad thing. It's actually learning. And judgment, it doesn't matter because opinions don't matter, right?
hey man, it's easy to throw criticism from the sidelines.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I found so to be so true, especially when I was training, crazy, is like very, very rarely would I ever be criticized from someone who was in the shit with me.
Yeah, they don't.
It's always that one guy or that one girl who's like not doing it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
who's the one on the sidelines saying, well, you're overdoing it or you're taking this drug. It's just like,
Mm-hmm.
hold on a second, and
Yeah.
I mean that comes back to the judgment, man. People, when you're doing big things and making an impact, whether it's on yourself or on others or a combination of both, people will judge you,
Oh yeah.
plain and simple. But the people who are right there next to you in the shit or you know putting in the same amount of work, they're not the ones going to judge you.
No, you're right. And I think a good indicator is as long as as long as you're moral and you're doing good things and you're not, beating the
Yeah,
shit out of people, you know what I'm saying? Within reason, within logical
be a
reasoning.
fucking asshole.
Right. Once you start to get people, judging you that way for what you consider to be self-improvement and all that, you know you're on the right path because
Yeah.
those when those outsiders get uncomfortable, that means you're doing the work that they don't want to do. And the whole best thing you can do for them is I would ignore them or, just say, okay, that's that, but I'm not going to change who I am for that. And maybe one day they'll grow inspired and ask you for help, right?
Yeah.
So another one is perfectionism. I think that's a big one in like the whole like what I do with people with dieting and all that and trying to be fully like it's people still to this day. If you give them a count and numbers and calories and macronutrients, they still feel as if they have to be precise and perfect every single day. And if they don't, they throw in the towel and they go all the way back the other way.
Yeah.
You know what that's like. I've been there. So overwhelm and lack of clarity. They don't plan correctly, and they're just overdoing it. They're just taking on too much too fast. Uncertainty, discomfort, and low confidence. Those are all the reasons that people get stuck. So then you just go and you do. So Joe, tell me, Joe, before we end this thing,
Yeah.
what is it that we can do if people are stuck? I'm one of them. I still get stuck. What do we do? What does Joe Smith do to take that action? What is the best route to just do? Yes, I know the answer is just fucking do it. Just do it. How that's the answer. Just fucking do it. But what else? Is there anything else that you can get out there that helps you take the right actions?
Just for me, just do something.
Yeah.
Honestly, it sounds cliche and so simple, but like
Yeah.
sometimes when I'm stuck, I'll just fucking go walk.
Yeah. That's a good
You
way to
know?
go. I heard it on I think the Mel Robbins podcast. So take a big sink of dirty dishes, okay, and you're just fucking tired and lazy, and you don't want to do shit. You look at that big pile of dishes. There's pasta sauce crusted on it and all that fucking shit. It looks gross. It smells. They're like you look at it as one big piece of just work, just one giant mound. But like, and again, it's cliche as hell. They just take two plates and go do two plates and then and go. Yeah.
Yeah,
Could you just go balls out and just fucking go and do it? Yeah, sure you can. But hey, it's better than not doing shit and then
yeah.
just clean a fork. Right? That makes sense.
Well, it's like, the one other thing I always try and keep in mind is that consistency over intensity,
Hmm. That's a good one
right?
too. That's huge.
Like you don't get in shape by going to the gym for 12 hours one day.
No,
Get in
exactly.
shape by going to the gym an hour today, 20 minutes tomorrow, an hour and a half next day, right? It's like that's
Hmm.
what sometimes a lot of people think consistency is like high level all
Hmm.
the time,
Mm-mm.
and consistency is just like some level every day.
Yeah, showing up. You just show
Just
up,
show up,
do something, and you get that shit done. And
you know?
I think like that you mentioned New Year's resolutions earlier, and I always talk about those. I think we get those. I think the intensity is leads always with these like New
Yeah,
Year's resolutions.
they're fucking stupid, man.
Dude, I start something on a Tuesday in August. Start something on a Wednesday
Yeah,
in April. So just do something. Now, see, like after this, I got to go paint some of my garage because it's been sitting there. So, whatever. Well, anyways, man, look, this has been fun. I know it's getting
yeah,
late,
man.
and I know it's getting late over there, and I don't
I'm
want to keep
glad
you
we finally
forever.
checked it off the list.
Yeah, man. And you know what? We can just put another one out there. And we took action today. I want you to know that Joe and I have had this intention for a couple of years to do this.
We
And
have, yeah.
and today to close this thing up, I think that's just the right way to do it. Is that we just went ahead here and took action, and we pressed record.
Good
Um,
job, man. I'm proud of
of
you.
course, hey man, I'm proud of you for being here. Look at you, you're still at the office working late and shit. You're amazing, dude. Anyways, Joe, if just in case somebody is watching here and they've you've tickled their fancy or whatever that word is, phrase goes. Where are you reachable at? Is it LinkedIn?
Yeah, man. I do everything on LinkedIn.
Josiah Smith,
Uh,
LinkedIn.
I believe,
Is that what you got, or you got a handle? If you don't have it, we can just put it in the show notes. If you don't,
yeah, Josiah Smith. That's how I'm on LinkedIn.
Naples, Florida, countryside, and I'm my name. You know me. It's a MFS Wellness at MFS Wellness. I still have Facebook and Instagram, and we're gonna keep that for a while because we got to promote some stuff, and I'm still addicted. My contact, Mike at mfswellness.com by email. So Joe, that's where you can find me. Do you have anything you want to say before we sign off? Anything else
No,
you want to say?
man.
You can say anything, dude. You can just if
No.
there's You
I
know,
think what you're doing is great. I think it's good stuff, right?
thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, we're gonna do another one of these. We'll come up with some other shit and have a good time doing it. So until
You
we
know what
do,
we should do? We
what's
should
that? Go
do
ahead.
a tattoo tour.
Ooh, like where we're gonna show our whole bodies and shit. Like
Yeah.
I gotta get
Go
some.
through the go through the story of, all of mine have stories.
Well, you know what? We can keep our clothes on, but I think we got to take pictures, and I'll put pictures up here,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
let me figure out how to do that, and then we will go through and tell the story that our bodies are pictured on.
Yeah.
Yours is going to be longer than mine, but that's the only thing that you have that is longer than me. But anyways, all right, we're getting to penis jokes now, so it's
All
time.
right.
It's time. It's getting late. All right, all right. So hey, Joe, thanks, man. I appreciate your time today, and
Likewise,
for
brother.
everyone who listens, we're grateful. For Joe, I'm Mike, and we'll talk to you on the next one. Thank you.